in 1 year, we made them over $200,000 with order bumps. I think it was $233,000 and $212,000 from upsells.
What can you do with $200,000 extra?
Happy Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Tropical MBA podcast. I am in my hotel room in New York City. Ian and I are here in New York with 30 listeners of the podcast who run 7- and 8-figure business. Our goal, as always at these events, is to take copious amounts of notes and bring them back to you on the podcast. So look forward to that. Recently, I was reading the survey that we put out, and a lot of what I heard from you, the listener, is that give me tactics that are working right now, that are proven that I can make money with. So today's guest has the tactics and the receipts. I was actually personally on a recent 6-figure promotion that I saw, and I emailed him. I was like, who did this? And he said, John Ainsworth from Data Driven Marketing did this campaign. And so in today's interview and conversation, you're going to learn how to increase leads, how to increase revenue per lead. And the best news is you can do it with the tools and team that you already have. So John is an expert at using email marketing and smartly designed landing pages to improve your profit and revenue. We already have these tools at our disposal, and most of us aren't using them to their capacity. So stick around to hear what every business can do to make more money from their emails, how to organize your promotions, and he'll also share a tactic for dramatically improving your opt-ins, which has had some dramatic results across his clientele. We're also going to get into some specifics like subject lines for promotions, how to stay out of the promotions tab in Gmail, and how to train AI to effectively write campaigns so no fancy copywriter hire required. All that plus some specific tactics that John's used to build a 7-figure marketing agency and have one of his best years ever. So I hope you dig this one. We're going to get into it right now.
My name is John Ainsworth, and I am the host of The Art of Selling Online Courses. And I also own an agency called Data Driven Marketing, and we help online course creators with their email marketing and funnels, help people make a lot of money.
But you really help people make a lot of money in all kinds of niches. Like we can take these tactics that you're learning from online courses and apply them to e-com, apply them to services. You do it in your own 7-figure agency. So we're going to take these nuggets and apply them to our business and get results. We're going to get into specific tactics, but you said that people don't use email promotion well in general. You hang out with a lot of entrepreneurs. Why is this the case?
There's a few things that I know with our clients that I see consistently. The first one is people are really worried about spamming their email list and people getting upset, thinking they're too salesy and unsubscribing.
Okay.
And this is a false dichotomy, in my opinion, because it assumes that the options are send bad emails that piss people off, or don't send emails, don't annoy anybody, and then don't make money from email. Imagine for a second that we live in a world where there's more than 2 options. It's like, what if you sent good emails that people liked receiving? There's ways of being creative about this kind of thing. So that's a lot of what we do with people. We help people send what we call nurture promos. And so there's a lot of value and useful information within the emails, which are also moving people towards a sale. So that's like one thing that I help people with. Another one is people don't know how to do email promotions, how to do them well. So they don't know what to write and they go back to what they're comfortable with. So let's say that most people we know, right, have got a marketing tactic that they know, like driving more traffic. That's the majority of people. That seems to be the thing. The search engine optimization, YouTube, whatever it might happen to be. And then they haven't gone, right, I'm also going to learn this other tactic of email marketing in order to make sales to the list as well. So I guess that's another one. I still find it perplexing because I'm like, guys, this is online business. Email marketing is like one of the fundamental things within it that actually makes money. How is everyone not doing this?
Yeah, I was even at the car shop the other day watching all the phone calls come in. And I was just imagining if me and you rocked up to the desk and we're like, we could totally fund a person sitting here, not going back and forth from the desk because they have thousands of email contacts. But I know because I'm a customer that I'm not receiving any kind of interesting promotion from them. And it's typically the case with most businesses. You spend all this money to get your funnel, people engaged in your YouTube or in your Instagram or whatever. And then we're not squeezing them in to be passionate customers. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about a bunch of tactics to do it. By the way, for the listeners, you've shared with me the receipts. I'm seeing a lot of up and to the rights for Black Fridays and through the holiday season. I was actually on some of the promotions that your team wrote, and they were so good that I replied to one of your customers. This is a true story. And I was like, yo, this is sick that you're finally doing this. I love being on this email and following along with what you're doing. And he's like, oh, John Ainsworth did it for me. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. So let's talk about email promotions tactics in general. As a top line, if right now you're just sending out a newsletter or whatever, how can we turn that into an email promotion and do it effectively and creatively like you mentioned?
All right, so the basic principle is to send an email promotion every month. So every time I talk with a client, if they look at their revenue chart, I will see there will be 2 or 3 spikes during the year. And I ask them, what happened in those 2 or 3 months? And I know the answer is that they send an email promotion. And it'll be Black Friday and like 1 or 2 other things. And I say, well, why aren't you sending them in the other months? And it's because they're worried, like I was saying earlier, about being spammy, salesy, people unsubscribing, what have you. So it's like, okay, well, we need to run a promotion every single month. So we make a list of like, what's the offers? What can we sell to people? And a lot of people, if they've only got like one thing that they're selling, freak out about that. And it's like, we can repackage this. We can offer this in different ways. We can split it up. We can bundle things. We can have bonuses, what have you. There's ways of figuring that out. So then the actual email promotion itself, we want to do 2 weeks for it. The first week, there's no promotion, but it's connected. It's a warm-up week. And so we have 3 emails: pain, agitation, solution. And the pain point is whatever your audience's biggest pain point is that your offer is going to solve. And you're talking about that and empathizing with them. If people don't think that you understand their problem, then they will never believe that you've got the solution for it. But if you can show you understand the problem better than they do, they're much more likely to believe that you've got a solution before they've even seen what it might be. So the second email then, the agitate one, you've got this rare position compared to them where you have seen hundreds or thousands of people like them who didn't have the problem solved and then did the work that you're talking about and then solved the problem and then their life was better. So you've been able to see what is it that is affecting people's lives more generally than just the specific problem. So they've got the problem. Let's say they don't know how to do video editing within some piece of software. Well, that's affecting their lives in a dozen other ways. They're having to work too much. They're not getting good enough clients. They are having to take on clients that they don't like. They're not spending enough time with their family. They don't have enough money. All of this stuff that they can't really see because they're too close to the problem. And then the solution, you give them a solution to the problem, a small thing they can do in 15 minutes. And then you tell them if you want the full solution, next week we're going to provide you with that. Then in the promotion week, you got 6 emails that go out. Gain, logic, fear, going, gone. So the gain one is an announcement email. You're talking about what is great about this thing. How is their life going to be better once they have it in place? The logic one is facts, statistics, studies, data, information for people who are more analytical. And then the fear one is more emotional. So it could be what's their biggest fear that stopped them from doing this, but it could be some other emotion. It could be something else emotionally that is blocking them from taking action on this.
Like you don't feel like you have the time to do this right now. Could be a big one.
It could be procrastination. It could be fear of failure. You have to survey your audience in advance of all this so that you know what the problems are so that you can address the correct one rather than just kind of coming up with something from your head. And then going, gone is all about urgency. So we're reminding people of the offer. We'll have a discount on the offer during the week when it's on promotion. We provide them with maybe a 30% discount and 2 bonuses, something like this. In the course space, it might be different in depending on what your niche is. And you have 3 emails there. And the last one is just like a reminder. It's going in a couple of hours. People respond really well to having something that says take action now. There's a reason to do it now until you'll get a big spike right at the end. So that's the overall sequence of it. I know that for anyone listening who's like, that's not enough information about it, I've done loads of episodes on the podcast about it. So if you want to hear exactly what does all that look like, you can go check that out.
I really want to highlight one thing you said, which is the number one question to answer in these promotions is typically why now? That's like the framing question. Because it could be next month. It could be next year. If you can effectively answer why right now, because the problem has been persisting in the prospect's mind for a long time. If you want to see a masterclass of this, Jay Feldman has a really good email list, which he does this super effectively. So Jay Feldman is essentially a diet coach. He has a group coaching solution, but he will follow a framework very similar to what you're talking about, where he'll repackage it in a different direction every month. So the informational period will be like, he'll give you a helpful resource, like a food table, like don't eat this, moderate this, and eat this. But then the next month he'll be like, I know a lot of you are concerned about like things like light exposure. And that's actually funnels right into the diet stuff too. And then the next month he'll be like, some of you are concerned about ingesting microplastics. And so here's a helpful chart about, like don't use a Keurig machine or whatever the solution is. He'll give you a very helpful resource. And you could even imagine, like, I like show my wife this PDF and I'm like, look, like we shouldn't cook it in a plastic dish or whatever, And then all of a sudden you're reminding yourself as you're being educated that this guy's empowering me. I'm solving problems already. Why aren't I solving the big problem? And then he'll follow up with the offer for that month to join the coaching. It's very, very well done. All right, next topic. Simple funnels.
Yeah, so this is particularly for people who are selling lower ticket stuff that you can sell through a simple funnel. So courses often tend to be like this if it's under $500, but e-commerce similarly as well. And so what we're looking at here is having a sales page and a checkout page, and everyone's like, "Well, I've got a sales page and a checkout page." It's like, yeah, but they suck. So let's make them good, right? And I don't think people understand how much better these can convert if you improve them, if you put all the right kind of tactics in place. So we've got a client we're working with who we doubled or more than doubled the conversion rate from her sales page to the checkout page. So the number of people who clicked to the checkout page, and then more than doubled the people on the checkout page who actually then converted. So that's 4 times the number of sales from the same amount of traffic. Just
how do we do it?
Making these things good. So there's 15 elements to have on a high performing sales page. I'll see if I can remember them all off the top of my head, but we're trying to make all of these as good as possible. But the first step is just have them all in place because people are often missing steps. And so that's the easiest thing to fix. So we want an eyebrow headline. So that's something to tell people right at the very, very top, quite small text, saying who this is for, who the target audience is. So people who are in that audience know they're in the right place. Then a compelling headline, not just the name of your product, but what is the benefit someone's going to get if they buy this product. Then a subheading that's going into more detail about that benefit and really spelling that out for people. So it's still quite big font, but a bit smaller than the headline. Then we want to have a video sales letter. So 2 to 5 minutes, something like this. It's going to summarize most of the points from on the sales page. Only about 10 to 12% of people will watch it, but that 10 to 12% of people are more likely to convert if you have that at the top there. Then you want to have a call to action button, and you put this in the first person. So yes, I want whatever the result is that you're offering to people. And the reason you want it in the first person is because for most of the sales page, you're talking to them. This is them taking action by clicking on it. So it's them talking to themselves. So you put it in the first person. So next, and nearly everybody misses this, we want a pain agitation solution section. So same as I talked about in the emails, you want to show people you understand their problem. You want to bring it to life through the agitation. And then you say, here's the solution to it. Probably a paragraph for each bit. Oh, and underneath the call to action button, you want to have a reminder of the guarantee in small text underneath there. And if you've got a discount going on right now, you put a countdown timer. Countdown timers on the sales page in our testing have improved conversion rates 12% just by having that on the page. Next, we want to go into the benefits of the product. So why is it somebody should be getting this from you? How is their life materially going to be better? Then we're going to get into the features, which is very important to have, but most people only have the features without having the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you do the features section, what you'll generally want to do is tie each of those features back to a benefit as well. So it's not just saying this is the feature, which is what gets you X benefit. Now we're going to have something that is explaining the authority of the person who is, in our case, selling the course. But if you're selling something in e-commerce, then it's like, what is your background? Why should people trust you? How can they know that you know what you're talking about? We want social proof. So that's testimonials, but it might also be awards that you've won, number of customers that you've had, any, places where you've had reviews, whatever, places you've had press. so that people are like, oh, this is a trustworthy, veritable thing that other people in the world have said good things about and have said it's good. What your Trustpilot review is, for
You're
example.
just taking Cialdini's list and just going down through it,
Oh,
essentially.
it's like he did the work, right?
You did the work.
Robert Cialdini did the work and figured out this is the things that people need in order to buy. If anyone who doesn't know Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, he basically identified this is the things that people do in sales that cause people to buy. And it's like, yeah, do all of those.
Yes.
I'm trying to make it as simple and practical for people to do it in each situation. But none of this is invented by me, right? This is just like what works.
Well, even a simple example of this is like, I know a lot of famous influencers on social who've paid for a lot of their followers. And the reason is because there's a threshold for every ICP and for every platform that which you're way more likely to subscribe if you see that a lot of other people have subscribed as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's just like the simple principle, which is like, I'm way more likely to buy if I know that other people have bought it, you know? And so how can you generate that social proof in your particular way? And for these folks I'm talking about on social, you know, they consider it perfectly ethical. Like, look, I had 30 grand to go to Upwork or whatever and get all these people to follow me. That should show that I'm serious. Yeah, like you find a way to make it work. All right, cool. I interrupted you at the social proof part.
Yeah. So future casting, and almost nobody does this. This is, you might think this is similar to benefits, but it's very, very important. It's showing people how their life is going to be different in a day, a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months. And because you've worked with people have bought your product, they've bought your course, your coaching, your service, whatever it is, you've seen how their life is actually different day to day.
Yeah.
And so you can talk about a day in the life of a person who has already gone through and done this and bring that to life. And these people who are thinking about buying from you, they don't know that that's the case. They don't know how that is. And obviously your testimonials help with that and the benefits help with that. But this is a section just about that. We want to have frequently asked questions, a summary of everything else that's been on the sales page, because the sales page by now is quite long. And then after each of these sections I've mentioned, you have that call to action button, the countdown time, and the guarantee again. We have the guarantee as its own section down somewhere towards the bottom, where you're really making a point of what is your guarantee and make this as strong as you can.
Risk reversal.
Yeah.
This is riskier not to buy, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. And Jay Abraham talks about that a lot in his book, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. And I really try to take that to heart and be like, okay, if you buy this course from us and you don't like it, we will give you your money back and you get to keep X other product from us. So it's like, oh, it'd be crazy not to get this. Why would I not get this? You know,
Right.
Someone's got to take the risk. As the business owner, I think it should be you.
I think for a lot of founders that have a great top of funnel, like a YouTube channel, there's a little bit of a pivot of mindset here where you are being like this super generous giver a lot of times of information. And now all of a sudden, you know, we're squeezing into this more problem, solution, sale mindset. And I think that probably is where people like you come in. It can be tough to like play nice all the time. And now all of a sudden it feels like a little bit more hardball. Can you talk a little bit about the struggle that your clients face about that transition and how critical it is to get over? Because one of the things I find over the years, if you're not willing to make this squeeze and have a strong sales portion of your organization, well, guess what? You might not be able to fund your YouTube channel for the next 5 years.
People are uncomfortable, but also they don't know how to do it. I think the discomfort part can be addressed if you just really start to understand that it's like it's allowed to do this. People are on your email list because they're interested in what it is that you've got on offer. And if people don't want to receive it from you, they can unsubscribe. In fact, what we do to make it really, really easy is people can unsubscribe from any given email promotion. It's so easy for someone to choose not to hear about this that there's just no real problem with it. And the reason you've got the email list is in order to promote products to them. Otherwise, what's the point of it? You know?
Let's then talk about webinars. How do you decide whether or not to inject a webinar into your promotional sequence versus just pushing them to the landing page?
So it's a couple of things. One is, how expensive is the product that you're selling? If it's under $300 or $500, it's probably not worth doing the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
500, it depends on your niche, right? If you're going to consumers where 500 is quite a lot for them, a webinar might be a really good idea. If you're selling something for $97, though, it's not going to be worth it because the conversion rates don't actually add up to make it fully worthwhile. So is it expensive enough that it adds up? Second thing is the client going to be willing to actually do a webinar? And that's a really big deal because a lot of people are not. And we struggle with this. And I've still not completely figured out how come people are so bothered about it. Because a lot of our clients are YouTubers who are great on camera, but they still don't want to do it. And I think it's the pitch part. So they're happy to teach something, but then you've got to transition and then you've got to pitch something to the audience. And that makes them feel uncomfortable and then they don't do it.
Okay.
When I started this business, I thought all we'd do was webinars. And then I just found it was so difficult to get people to actually do the webinar. So we started doing more email promotions. But like as a friend of ours, Sarah Weaver, she sells coaching for making money from residential property.
Yep.
Like buying residential property out of state in the US. And she'd heard me talk about webinars and she hadn't done anything to make money in like 6 months and she'd just been having a lovely time. And she's like, I need some money. I should do a webinar. And she did a webinar and she made $70,000 from it. And she messaged me and she's like, what should I do now? I was like, do another webinar. And she's like, okay, cool. So she did another webinar and she made $80,000. And I messaged her earlier today and I asked her, have you run any more webinars? Because after that, she said, what do I do now? And I was like, Sarah, it's really straightforward.
I'm going to start to charge you for this.
Every month, what I want you to do is run a webinar either to your audience or to a partner's audience or build a bigger audience, do some more work to get more people onto your email list or do it on a different topic or whatever it is. We're going to use every tactic we can do to make this happen. But every month, do another webinar. So she told me I had a webinar last month and got 6 signups at $9,800 a pop. I had 12 sales calls total the 2 days following. Did the same webinar last night and have 6 sales calls today. So it's like, they're so good. If you're selling higher ticket stuff, they're so good.
What is like the Cliff's Notes to organizing a webinar, the best resource that you know about? How long, how much information, how much pitch?
Yeah. So the best book on it is Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
It's outstanding. It's fantastic. I was chatting with Lydia Marachova.
Mm-hmm. Yes. She did an episode here where she talked about the framework that Russell shares in that book.
Yeah, she does a great job with it. And she just launched a new product, which is an AI tool for helping you to learn how to learn a language. Instead of selling courses, she's selling the AI tool. And she did a webinar for it, followed Russell Brunson's perfect webinar system from Expert Secrets, absolutely like refined it perfectly. And then she made 3 times more than she'd ever made in any previous launch. And that's the combination of doing the webinar and the new product. But she does a great job with it. If you're going to make one great webinar presentation, that's the system to follow. Okay. It takes a long time to put all of that together because what he's basically done is he's taken every tactic that works in webinars and he's put them all together into one system and it integrates and the whole thing all builds on itself. And you can do more with AI now to make that faster, make that kind of easier to put together, but it's still a lot of work. If what you're doing is the other kind of webinar, teach and pitch webinar, you can still read Russell Brunson's book and especially the sections where he's explaining about the transition and the pitch, but you don't have to do all the whole build up. It won't convert as well, but you can do these more often because you can teach a different topic each time and then transition and then do your pitch.
What kind of conversion expectations would you have on a webinar for, a multi-$1,000 coaching product?
Yeah, so a really good one, you're looking at something around a really good webinar with a really good product market fit and so on. You're looking at about a 10% conversion rate from attendees to sales. And that might be via, people buying direct or depending on the price, it might be via sales calls after that as well. But that's like about the kind of upper limit. I think Sarah was a bit above that. Sarah's very, very good at presenting. She's very enthusiastic. She's very knowledgeable. Her audience loves her. She's got a great product. Like there's a lot of things that lined up that made that a really good fit. But I think she maybe was doing it like 15%, something like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Next one, improving your email opt-ins and building your list. I feel like we go in and out on this one all the time. What are the best practice tactics you're seeing to get people from content to email subscriber?
The basic principles here are really simple. As with everything, there's like a ton of little details. But if you just do the basics right, you're way ahead of where you probably are at the moment. So we had this one client, Teal Swan. They had 100 opt-ins a week. And they had this massive audience. This is like an extreme example. They had 3 million followers across different social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, etc. And we took them to 5,000 opt-ins a week by implementing this.
All right.
With spikes up to 10,000. Most people, though, can like 2 to 10 times their opt-in rate from this. So first thing is you want to have a great lead magnet. At least one. So definitely one really good lead magnet. Maybe you'll do multiple. Start with one. So that means something that is super useful, really, really easy to consume. So they shouldn't have to take a course or learn a thing, whatever. They just use this resource that you've given them. And it should be really valuable. And that can be kind of hard to find, but I'll give a couple of examples. We worked with someone in the digital painting space, and he had 10 free tutorials and resources was his giveaway. And it's a bit vague and a bit generic, and it's kind of like, what exactly am I getting? I'm not sure. And we swapped that for 10 free digital paintbrushes. And so this is something, these are people who are already painting on their iPad or what have you, and they are now able to use these specific paintbrushes that they didn't have before. They don't have to learn anything else. They could just use them straight away. So it's really, really useful, but it doesn't take extra time to start doing it. The one that I mentioned, Teal Swan, she had, I think, just a newsletter opt-in, and we replaced that with 5 free meditations. And so these are people who are already meditating. They now can get this guided meditation from Teal. And so it's like, it's really easy for them. It fits with their life. They're very happy with it, and it's super valuable to them. The next thing with a really good lead magnet is it should link to the thing that you're selling, so that the people who are opting in are the same kind of people who are going to buy the product that you've got afterwards. So you don't just grow your list, you grow your list with people who are a good fit. And so, for example, Teal was selling a meditation vault with 27 meditations for $27. And so if you download 5 free meditations, you're exactly the kind of person who might want to spend $27 to buy 27 meditations.
Right.
So there's a perfect fit there.
I think back to Jay Feldman, you listen to him talk for an hour and a half about the science of whether or not you should eat one bean over another and what the amino acid does in your small intestine. But in the back of your mind, as a potential dieter, there's a question that's lurking in your mind, which is, well, what do I eat just in general? If I buy that this guy's smart about the freaking beans. And he says in the middle of the podcast, he says, hey, I've got a free food guide for you that will outline all the key food groups and what you should eat and what you should moderate and what you shouldn't eat. Check out landing page. It's the easiest lead magnet of all time because it's the question in the back of your mind. He doesn't need to have a great landing page. He doesn't need to have great copy there because you just want the guide.
I try and do the same thing. So I give away things like templates. It's like, okay, I'll explain to people, here's how you write a great email promotion. And it's like, okay, but that all sounds probably quite hard still. Well, I've got a template for you. And just go through and you follow the template and you can just go download that from the website. And it's like, oh, perfect. Right. Now I understand what it is. I've got the free thing that's going to allow me to use it.
It's great for your ICP too. If we're targeting 7-8-figure entrepreneurs, often they'll download the templates and send it to their team, which is fantastic. Cool.
That was step 1, which is get a great lead magnet.
Yep.
And then the second part is put it everywhere. And people just don't do this, and it boggles my mind. So above everything else, promote the lead magnet, not the product. So you've got your YouTube channel, right? You've got your YouTube video. During the video, mention the relevant lead magnet that you've got, then put a link to it in the description at the very top so someone doesn't have to click more, they just see the link to it, and then put it in the pinned comment as well. And then do that for every video you've got that's still driving traffic. That's still
you can do this
views.
with your back catalog too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A simple project.
Go through all your blog posts, put it in there, put it on the homepage, put it in a pop-up, just put it everywhere. And like, if people are thinking, like, what kind of difference can that make? Well, that's what we did with Teal Swan. Create a lead magnet, just one, put it everywhere. If you're putting on Instagram, like, promote it, actually have a post that is promoting the lead magnet and then get ManyChat as the way for people to download it. And that's what, multiplied their leads enormously.
Fantastic. Let's talk about then increasing revenue per customer. Now we're doing the promotion. They're on the sales page. How do we get them past just the initial purchase?
Yeah. So there's two basic tactics that we use, and they work in the online course space. They work with e-commerce. They work with services businesses. They work in all kinds of places. Order bumps and upsells. So they're the same concept, that selling an additional thing to the person who's already buying. Like, you go to buy a Big Mac, do you want fries with that? You go to the cinema, you buy the popcorn as well. You go to buy a car, you get the leather seats and the nicer radio and what have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the basic concept, but they're done in different ways. So the order bump is on the checkout page. It's a tick box with 2 or 3 lines of text that people can just quickly read and go, oh, that sounds like a good fit. I'm going to buy that thing as well. The upsell is on the confirmation page after the checkout page.
Yes.
Someone put their credit card details in, they've hit submit, maybe they bought the order bump, maybe they didn't. Now they see another page with another offer. Now the order bump tends to be about 1/3 of the price of the main product you're selling, and the upsell tends to be about the same or a bit more as the main thing that you're selling.
It would typically be a mistake to present both options on the checkout page. What you want to do is sequence it so only the people who've purchased the first option get to see the second option. Then you could always promote the second thing later. But the timing is critical, because if you're putting people to, you have to make a lot of decisions to make like $1,000, $2,000 purchase. Let them focus on that one core decision. And once they've opted into that, they're way more likely to buy the next $1,000 thing, is the idea.
Yeah.
Whereas I see a lot of sales pages that will present both options on the sales page, which I think one of the themes we've been talking about is timing a lot on the podcast. Is like, what is the right time to present this particular promotion? It is often right after or right during, depending on the ratio of the price to the solution they're opting into.
So we did this with someone recently. It was those two tactics, but we also sold the more expensive thing through the email promotion. So instead of selling a monthly membership, we sold the annual membership, which is very common. You need to be selling something that's expensive enough as your main offer. We did this with the client recently, and his average order value went from $34 up to $120. And it's like, if you sell 4 times as much per person, you're probably going to make more money,
There you go. Very cool. So we're going to use order bumps at 1/3 ratio, and then the upsell at the same price, essentially. So
ballpark. Yeah.
Ballpark. What kind of conversions would you expect to see ballpark and these are going to be high relative to, if you're not doing this right now, this is one of the easiest ways to increase your LTV.
Yeah. So order bumps is about 30 to 60% if you're doing a good job with it. Like the highest we've ever had is like 85, but normally we'll see within the 30 to 60% range. And then upsells is about 10 to maybe 25%.
Incredible. An enormous economic change.
Yeah. Between the two of them, they add like maybe 50% revenue. The guys I mentioned before, Teal Swan, they made in 1 year, we made them over $200,000 with order bumps. I think it was $233,000 and $212,000 from upsells.
What can you do with $200,000 extra? You can do a lot. It's incredible. It's remarkable how few of our businesses do it, because there's a lot of constraints here. Like, it took us so long to build our product. I'm exhausted with just like getting everything into the product. So now I don't have anything left to sell. It's common kind of small bootstrapper objection to this kind of thing. Are there easy ways we can explore after we've put all our heart and soul into this one core product? How can we conceptualize an order bump or a premium upsell?
Most people I talk to who say, well, I haven't got anything else to sell them, when we sit down and we make a list of what is everything that you've ever sold, give me access to your Stripe account, let's go through and find all the things you've ever sold. We almost always find they've sold a bunch of other things in the past.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, let's start with that. And it might not be the perfect order bump or the perfect upsell, but having something is better than not having anything at all, unless it's a completely crazy fit and it won't help your audience at all. But what about if you did some paid training, if in the kind of coaching space? Maybe you also at one point did some coaching sessions with people on a slightly different topic, and you charged them for the 6-week program and you recorded it. Okay, well, have you got recordings still? Can you sell that? Upsells, if you've got a monthly membership, maybe sell the annual membership as the upsell or a quarterly one, something like that. But normally, like nearly everybody has got a bunch of other things they have sold before. You go through, just pick what's the best one, add that in as your upsell. There's a DCer who we both know. He's selling a service for several $1,000s, and then his upsell is it's like a guarantee or like a if something goes wrong, then you get an extra 6 months to come back and talk to us about it. And like 10% of people buy it, and it's like an extra $500. And he just messages me every so often. Is like, I've made this many extra $1,000 by having this order bump in place.
Incredible. There's a moment for like extreme elegance here, like that support thing that is highly profitable because people at the time of the purchase, they want the confidence that it's going to be there, but they're probably not going to take advantage of it. It's insurance policy. That's a great way to do it because your margin on it is going to be ridiculous. You're taking advantage as an online entrepreneur, this classic psychology we can all feel, which is like, should I go to this restaurant or whatever? I don't know. Like, you going to have a drink, John? We sit down. I don't know. I don't need, okay, order a drink. And then all of a sudden you're in, you made the hard decision, which is to sit down at the restaurant. Let's just get an extra appetizer,
Mm-hmm.
And so what is your extra appetizer? What is the nice bottle of wine? Because we're already sat down. We're having a great time. Let's offer that to our customers. The results are almost universally incredible. Okay, cool. So we spent a lot of time on increasing revenue per customer. 2 more tactical topics before I get into some quick fire stuff, John. Using AI to get all this done. I know you're doing a lot of AI stuff. How are you using it right now to improve funnels?
So AI is not yet as good as a high-level copywriter, but it is, if you do your job right, as good as a copywriting intern. So a copywriting process involves a lot of little steps to get to version 1, to get you 70% of the way there. And so the best thing to do is to use AI to actually help you to run all of those steps. So if you're working with a good quality copywriter, they're going to start out by what we do is we'll start out by surveying the audience. We will go through and we'll pull all the data from all of your customer service emails, all the testimonials, pull all that information together. We're going to use that to create a customer avatar and a customer language document. Then you're going to have information that you put together about your offer. What's your product? Why are people going to buy it? What problems does it solve? All kinds of questions you ask there. We call ours the big ask questionnaire because it's just like, it's so big that we kind of internally start referring to it as that. And then we change the name of the document. And it's just like, it's so many questions that you need to know. And you get all of that data together. And AI can help with some of those steps in terms of the customer avatar analysis and pulling and analyzing all the data from your testimonials and what have you to start to create that summary in the customer avatar. But then if you give all of that information as the raw process to AI, then that makes it much easier for it to give you a good output. If you just say, write me some emails or write me a sales page, it doesn't know what all of those bits of information are. But then the next thing you want to do is give it an example of a really good email promotion that is as similar to what you are going to be writing as possible. Maybe it's from a competitor. Maybe it's one you got someone to write for you before they converted really well. Something that you like, this is in the same kind of niche for the same kind of audience, but it's got a different offer.
So you got to train the AI the same way you would train the intern, essentially. Like, here's our ICP documentation. Here's the customer survey response. Here's a bunch of data from customers actually talking about the brand. So you could dunk in your help desk or whatever. And then here is the model of what we're trying to produce out of this. If you do that, you're saying you get 7 out of 10 results.
Yeah. And maybe version 1, it gives you back, it's like 5 or 6 out of 10, because sometimes AI makes stuff up. So then one of the things we'll do is say, okay, how truthful was that? Is there anything in there that wasn't honest? Is there anything in there that's too hypey or salesy or inaccurate or whatever it is? And then it'll kind of you get it to give itself a rating. And you say, well, now try and make it into a 9 out of 10. Make sure there's nothing that is inaccurate, that is false, that is made up, that is, any way of talking about it. And it's getting slightly better at this depending on what version you use. We use Claude for it. That tends to be pretty good. Different people tell me that other models have overtaken, but Claude has generally been pretty good on this kind of thing. And at the end of that, then you will need to go through, read it, make sure, does it actually follow the structure that you're trying to follow? Does it actually being completely honest and everything that, and start to tweak it? But it gives you a version 1. And everybody who's written in a thing knows how hard version 1 is.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get to a shitty first draft, but you have to go to a shitty first draft to get to a better second draft and a better third draft. And so that's the overall process. I mean, we've spent months refining our prompts that we use for this, the process. What order do you put these things in? How do you tweak it? What have you? And we still have to afterwards go through and actually edit it and tweak it, what have you. But that gives you a really good starting point, and it saves a lot of time.
Great tip there. Final piece, Tripwire funnels. What are they and how can we use them?
The basic idea we were talking about timing is after someone has just taken action is the time they're most likely to take more action. So when they've just signed up to your lead magnet, a Tripwire funnel is when you offer them something cheap on the confirmation page. So when I mentioned before that Teal Swan had that 5 free meditations, we then came up with the idea of let's put 27 paid meditations on the confirmation page. And 12% of people who signed up for the free one then converted and bought. Now, of course, we then also added in an order bump, and we added in an upsell, and we added in an email sequence, and all of the stuff, this great sales page, great checkout page, everything we've talked about.
So why wait for 4 weeks until your next promotion comes around?
Exactly.
Why not hit them while they're hot?
This funnel converts better than any other step in the entire process because it got 100% of people are seeing the sales page. So if you have an email promotion that goes out, what percentage of people open your emails? 30%? How many people click on it? 1%, 2%, something like that? This sales page is the only one that 100% of people signing up see. And so therefore it converts much better.
Beautiful. So essentially we're taking all the best practices and accelerating it to the opt-in moment.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole framework here worth ridiculous. I mean, maybe you could just give one general case study of like someone who's just on like the YouTube, the newsletter, and all of a sudden they take these 7 ideas and apply them, which could take a few weeks of your time. What is the potential here?
Yeah, so we have Dave, who's in the guitar space, we've been working with recently, probably the most extreme example. He was making about $20,000 a month. And then we started working together in September. In October, we got him up to $120,000. And in November, he hit $170,000. There's a DCer who you know well, hadn't done email promos before. We added $55,000 to her revenue last month. We had an Amazon seller selling a course. She went from $17,000 a month to $40,000 a month. The best month was $50K. It's like, this is the typical kind of range, like normally between 2 and 5 times revenue.
Business question before we get into quick fire email tactics. When are you going to start taking minority stakes in these companies?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and I haven't quite figured out the model on it. And I keep saying to Josip, who's like my head of funnel strategy, COO, right-hand man kind of guy. And he's like, we've tried doing partnerships where we just are going to take a revenue share with people. And it hasn't worked because people then don't do the work when they're not paying for it. We've seen that enough times that we're like, something's not working right there. And I've thought, well, we should be getting a percentage of this like long term from people, whoever's like starting to work with us. And his response to me was, let's do what we're currently doing until we've got like X amount of money in the bank account. And so that we're like stable and we know, okay, we've got that. And then we can look at what's the other ways we might do it. He says, and then if that happens, that means it's working. And then we should just carry on doing that. And I was like, there's a certain amount of like, that's a weird logic, but there's a certain amount of logic to it. And it started working for us. Like we've started to really take off. Like we made a lot more profit this year than we've ever made before. And it's really starting, like everything's coming together. Everything's working really well. And my temptation is then like, okay, well, let's change it to this better other business model. And his is like, let's keep doing what's working and just do more of it. And I'm like, there's a certain sense to that, you know? So I don't know, Dan. I don't know. I think about it regularly and I don't know the answer.
I sat down with my team, some marketers on the team, and here are some quick fire questions for the email expert. Number 1, how to stay out or get out of the promotions tab.
Yeah, so engaging with people is really good through content emails. So ask them to reply to your email. It could be by asking questions, which is what we normally did. But we actually had one client recently. What he did is he said, if you've come until this point, reply with banana. So I know you're one of the real ones who actually want to learn something from this. It's like, that's maybe not ideal, but it's as long as it's getting them to reply, because then that tells Gmail and whoever else, this is someone who is actually a legitimate email sender because people are replying back to them. So we'll do stuff like, we had one with a client recently, his first warm-up email. We had an interactive survey, so we basically asked people just to reply with their biggest challenge. Is it A, B, or C? And we got hundreds of responses, and then that improved list engagement. It doesn't just improve it with those people who've responded. It improves it overall because they see, oh, this is a good sender. We're going to improve their kind of ranking.
There you go.
So telling people to respond and then you replying back to them as well, that really, really helps.
How do you get a real read on your email engagement despite changes to Apple Mail update?
Yeah, so what we do now is more focus on click-through rate and the reply triggers, like I was kind of mentioning above, to see how good the emails actually are. So you can use open rates to judge one against another, but that doesn't actually tell you the full figure of how many people actually opened it. And then also unsubscribe rates and bounce rates. So click rate, we're looking for something between about 0.5 and 1%. Open rates, definitely we still want them to be above 25%, even with all of the data that we can't collect. Unsubscribe rate, we want no more than 0.3%, and then a bounce rate under 0.5% as well. And so those are kind of the ways that we're tracking it.
Fantastic. Best subject lines you've seen recently?
So this is the best ones that we've used. So I actually had the data on it. So we had early Black Friday opens, bracket, you're invited, and then their name. And that was at 81% open rate. Going, gone, 77.8% open rate. I'm sorry, I have to close this offer, 55.7%. So you see quite a few of these are like the urgency ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Timer hit 0, 42.6%. A personal note for first name, 41.5%. And then course name enrollment opens now was 41.2%.
Excellent. What are the difference between a killer subject line for an email versus a YouTube title? Yeah, so a YouTube title, I mean, there's certain bits that are the same, right? You've got to engage a lot of times curiosity with people. You might want to talk about a benefit with it. The difference with subject lines is these are people who already know you. You know, these are people who are warmer, who are more interested in what it is that you actually have to offer. So you can have stuff that is more focused around you, your offer, what it is that you actually are going to be giving them right now that is connected to the stuff that you've already got. Whereas people on YouTube, you're often trying to reach new people. So you have to like talk about things that are more general with not assuming any pre-existing knowledge. So I think that's the big difference. You're still looking at curiosity and what can you have in terms of a benefit and what do you got in terms of like why they should take action now on this thing. And that's I'm thinking particularly about like discovery-based YouTube videos. Mm-hmm.
But you've just got a much warmer audience. So you can talk about you can presuppose information and knowledge and understanding and therefore tweak based on that.
When people are on your email list, like subjects that perform really well, like might be a narrative-based thing about the audience, like, hey, I'm sorry, our servers crashed. Here's the full story. Like that typically will do really well. Whereas like on YouTube, those can perform pretty well too. I see YouTubers, they'll do like one for the algo, and then they'll do one for their subscribers. And so it might go both ways there. Your favorite lead magnet, if I had to pin you down to one right now?
Of mine, our best one is our email templates. If anyone wants to get that, go to the website, download it. But the best one that we've ever had was that 10 free paintbrushes that I mentioned before.
Something immediate value, a no-brainer gift.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main constraint there for a lot of founders is figuring out what that is. So it's like in the conception phase, like what can I, produce that people are just going to, like what's something that's worth $100 of value or plus that I'm just going to give away for free. This is a classic marketing strategy, right? Is like, what is a portion of value that my business has generated, a data set, a guide, templates that could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars that you can simply have for free by being an insider to this brand. Cool. Any other tips or tactics regarding making more money via email that come to mind before we pivot just to talk a little bit about running your agency?
I think the biggest thing with it is be willing to be uncomfortable in doing this and just start doing it regularly. Say to yourself, I am now an email marketer as well, and start sending out these email promotions every month and be like, oh, that one didn't work. That's okay. That's all right. I'm going to send another one next month, and just keep doing it and iterating and improving, because so many people, it causes me a lot of emotional pain. Like I meet like friends of ours, and I'm like, but you could just be doing this thing and making all this money, and then they don't do it and they don't make all. I'm like, anyway, that's it.
Make the money while you can make the money. That's go make some money. This is your therapy session. You're worth it. Go make the sale. Okay. You said that you had a great year this year. Mm-hmm. You run an agency. A lot of us listening to this run a services business. I want you to share with us some of the top ways that you've had one of your best years ever. You mentioned the Dream 100 approach.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for this, and how does it work?
Yeah, so the Dream 100 is a concept that, as far as I know, was come up with by Chet Holmes, and he talks about it in The Ultimate Sales Machine, which is a great business book. And we've got very specific requirements for who we'll work with. Someone has already got to have an audience. It's generally on YouTube, most of our clients. So they've got to have at least 5,000 views a month, but I bet the best clients have got millions of views every month. And they're already selling the courses, and their clients love them despite the fact they haven't got good funnels. So that narrows down our market really, really tight to a relatively small number of people. And that's great from a delivery point of view, because we can help those. That's why we get people such amazing results, because we're working with people who are the absolute perfect fit, and the thing they need is what we've got. But that meant that a lot of our more mass market kind of approaches, like SEO or YouTube or partnerships or whatever, they didn't tend to work because there weren't other people with that audience that we could get in front of. No, other people didn't have that exact same audience. So there's like 3 podcasts that do, and I've been on them, and that was great, right?
Yep.
And it's like, well, there isn't the 4th one, you know?
You can't just keep pumping it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Dream 100 idea is you basically go, who is your absolute ideal customers? And it doesn't have to be 100. That's just a catchy name. And so what we did is we went through and started to make a list of them. And so we scraped from the internet, everyone who had a Teachable account or Kajabi or any of the software where people host courses. And lots of people there, they have a course, but they don't have any traffic. So we then use tools and automation and developers to scrape information about, well, what's their website visitors and what's their YouTube subscribers, how many Instagram followers have they got, and so on, and added that into the spreadsheet. And then we could go, right, which of these are a really good fit? And then we also are still working on, like, we just have people going through YouTube and find people with big followings, see if they have courses. If yes, add them to the list. And then what we do is we reach out to all of those people with cold email, and I invite them to come on the podcast, and I get the chance to talk to them and hang out for an hour. And as part of that, I will help them with their funnel. Yep. And at the end of that, a bunch of them are like, oh, could you help me with that some more? And it's like, I certainly could. Let's have a chat. I'll connect you with the team. We're going to have we'll see what else we can do. And if that doesn't work, if they're like not interested at that point in anything, then I said, well, we've got a WhatsApp group, got a community for course creators just like you. Would you like to join that? And then we stay in touch with them through that. So we just help them consistently until they're ready to get our help.
Just a little bit of background with the Dream 100. I went to this super expensive CEO bootcamp with Vern Harnish, world famous business coach. And it's interesting because we talked about operation. We talked about every single topic. And the last day we got to marketing. Mm. And marketing is this big question mark profit thing for a lot of founders. Like, what do I do? Especially service providers. And he basically presented the Dream 100 to us. He's like, this is your marketing strategy. Here's my list of 100 people. Here's all the gifts they get every Christmas. Here's how often we send them some nice note. And every person on the list might have a different modality depending on what they want to hear about. So it could be I send this person a link to some cool that they're into every 4 months. And we call it Rolodex marketing. We have a spreadsheet you can download at tropicalmba.com, resources for free. But the basic idea is that for a lot of businesses, building an Instagram account, I would say for the majority of businesses, doing one of these easy button, quote, marketing tactics that you see businesses that are native to that platform using successfully. I think a lot of us services businesses try to emulate that. I should be posting on Facebook all the time. Maybe that's a good strategy, but for 9 out of 10 businesses, the Dream 100 is a good strategy, which is to say, who exactly do you need to be having conversations with, and how do you start those conversations? And I think that's why so many people go to in-person events, because it's a way to emulate the Dream 100 strategy by building relationships. People are in events. They want to hang out. They want to chat. They want to meet cool people. Well, you can do it from your desk. Your team can do it by taking on the Dream 100 strategy. And you can start with 5 people, 10 people, and see how it goes. But I think the way you framed it up there made a ton of sense there. And the way Vern put it was like, there's like 5 to 10 people that are going to like make all the difference for you next year.
Uh-huh.
Are you going to try to reach them via your Instagram posts? Is that your plan?
What are the odds, right? So if I was starting to work on YouTube and I was like, okay, well, now I'm getting for some videos a couple of thousand views. So what percentage of those people are the ideal exact person who I want to have as a client? Because if I have someone who is a great client, we are going to make them like an extra $100,000 a month, and we're going to make a good amount of money ourselves as well from it. It's like, great. And if someone's like an okay client, then like, we'll make them more money and we'll make a bit of money as well. But it's like those absolutely perfect ones, it's such a difference. It's so much more money that they're making and that we're making. So what's the odds that they're the one who saw that YouTube video? It's quite low. But if I reach out to them personally, then they are definitely the one who, now not all of them reply, but everyone who replies is definitely exactly the right kind of person.
So you have a podcast, which I listen to. This is part of the strategy. It's the industry pod strategy, right? Can you let me know how this works? I've seen a lot of people do this successfully.
It's basically using the podcast as a way to network with your audience. It's a network with your absolute ideal, like Dream 100. The people in the audience like it because they're listening to a podcast which is with people who they want to hear from, the people who've been successful in your industry. And people are delighted to come on because they like to go on a podcast and be asked about their opinions. And especially if you're good at being a podcast host, which I happen to be the right kind of personality and interest type and whatever, that I'm good at interviewing people. And you get the chance to network and talk with that absolute ideal person. And so it's just a really good win-win-win kind of situation.
Are there other types of things that you think could work for those? I mean, podcast is a big lift.
Mm-hmm.
Vern Harnish talks about, he sends gifts, you can send article links. Have you done any experimentation in terms of like, when you come up with a template, do you like send it out to those Dream 100 or do you ping people? How does that work?
Well, so we ask them if they want to join our community, which is totally free. And they pretty much all say yes. And then I share a lot of information with people in there. So it's like Black Friday was just very recently. And so in advance of it, I gave people, here's a complete guide to everything that we do with Black Friday. Here's how we do Black Friday. Here's how we do the pre-Black Friday. Here's how we do Cyber Monday. Here's how we choose the offer. Here's the emails that we're sending, etc. And then people from that group have messaged me and been like, oh yeah, I did the things you said and I made 50% more revenue from it. Now, each individual person won't necessarily then become a customer, but it's like everyone's hearing, oh, we know what we're talking about and we're helping people. And so that's our system at the moment, but I want to do more with it. I want to stay in touch with those people more. Another thing we do is we'll just follow up with people every few months and be like, how's things?
Yep.
How's everything going? And then provide them a couple of bits of help and advice if we can, and then just be in touch. And that's kind of it, really.
Amazing. I love it. I think the Dream 100 approach is fascinating because it's the kind of thing, like we always used to bring up cold calling on the podcast because it's almost like a measure of your seriousness and commitment to reaching your goals. And I feel like the Dream 100 sits as like a very clear path to a lot of our goals. It's like, here are the 10 people here are the 15 people who are going to make a difference. Like, are you reaching out to them? Are you following up? Are you asking them on a podcast? Are you putting them in a text chain? What are you doing about it? Because it makes people bristle that have less intensity or ambition. And so it's almost a filter.
One of the things I found, so there's a community of course creators who are a perfect fit to work with us, not run by me. And I found that all of them know about us so much and talk about us so much that they refer to my business not as data-driven marketing, but as DDM. amongst themselves and then assume that everybody else in the group also knows who DDM is. And I was like, that's awesome. I love that happens. And we have now a bunch of them as clients and we've helped, worked with a lot of them and that's great. But I'm like, I want to copy what works, right? I have tried 1,000 things. Here is a thing that has worked almost by chance. Can I do it? Can I do more of that? So I'm basically trying to can I create my own community and then enable them to talk to each other so that they're all talking about DDM and referring each other to us,
Incredible. Any other thoughts from a great year in business? We're winding down the year here. What are you thinking about as the year ends and how are you planning to continue your success in 26?
Yeah, so another big part of the success for us was using AI. Was just how can you get more done? How can you get the basics done with AI that don't take you so much time? So with a smaller team, you can still get the same amount of results, or the same size team get more results, what have you. So that's been a really big deal. The thing that sticks with me and that I think about every week, every day is how do I manage to stay focused on the things that are working and not getting distracted by my, I've got a great new idea brain, which is it runs at such a speed. There's so many new ideas that just keep coming up in my head. And thank God I got Josip because I go and talk us through with him and he's like, that's a great idea. Let's keep doing the thing that's working. It's like, okay, yeah, good point. Yeah, let's keep doing that. I was just like, oh my God. And I think I talk to so many other entrepreneurs and it's the same, people are going through the same thing, everyone's got this ADHD brain and they're just all firing and they're creative and they come up with all this stuff. I was like, how can I just stay on track and just keep doing the stuff that's working again and again and again?
Everybody listening can relate to you there. It's the rude awakening of entrepreneurship because you need one creative idea that takes off. And then is there a way that you can harness that creativity behind the focus or are you going to let it distract you? And I think that's a question we all face. It's a good way to leave it. No solutions to that one. The perennial... John Ainsworth, we appreciate your expertise and your time spent with us here today at the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no worries, guys. If anybody wants to go check it out, the podcast I've been talking about is The Art of Selling Online Courses. And you can get that email template that I mentioned from datadrivenmarketing.co/resources.
Incredible. John, we hope you'll be back on soon. Thanks for joining us.
Wicked. Thanks, Dan.